Hey, this is Matt once again. What about the other videos? Another paid request, this time for Alban. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting any type of videos, topics, reactions, commentaries, reviews, re-reviews, what have you, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. And he wanted me to give my top 15 favorite movies from 1990. Now, I've said before that 1990 is one of my favorite years in terms of movies. I mean, I could go a top 30, and like many movies that year I enjoy. So let's get right into it. I mean, stuff that didn't make the list, but I do enjoy would be films like Narrow Margin with Gene Hackman. I think that's a good thriller, directed by Peter Hyams. Critically Down Under, a western I do like, starring Tom Selleck. And you got Alan Rickman from Die Hard as the villain. And as a western, like Tom Selleck plays like a sniper in the West. Like he shoots his rifle like a sniper, which I thought was cool. Class of 1999, very good, fun B-movie sci-fi film by Mark L. Lester, who did Commando. March for Death with Steven Seagal. But this is where my top 15. Number 15, I put The Exorcist 3. It's the only Exorcist film I enjoy. I enjoy it because of George C. Scott and Brad Dourif's commanding performances, because I thought it had some really nice, creepy visual images. I like the way the director utilized his shots, especially the jump scare scene, where it's all the hallway, and it stays there, and it stays there, and it stays there, and you're wondering when it's over, and then, oh shit, you know. A lot of people don't like the finale. I even like the kind of action-filled exorcism finale. Yeah, Exorcist 3, they say it's the dialogue and the back and forth between George C. Scott and Brad Dourif that really makes that film work for me. Two damn good actors showing what they do. They could do sparring verbally back and forth with each other. Like I say, it has some really nice creepy visuals to it as well. Like I say, it's the only Exorcist film I like. I'm not big into exorcism movies, but that's definitely worth a look, especially for those actors. Number 14, I cheated. I put two films, Hard to Kill and Death Warrant. I put a Seagal movie and a Van Damme movie. Lionheart, sometimes it says 1990. I get tricked into that, but that's because it was in another country in 1990. Technically, it came out January 1991. So if I go on Wikipedia and stuff, it says 1990. Yeah, I will put Lionheart here, but technically it was January 91, so I'll say that's 91. So that's why I get fooled sometimes, is that 1990, but it was in this one festival in that year. I'm like, well, dude, so it's not really 1990. Like, stop it. So I put, otherwise Lionheart would be on the list, but I put Hard to Kill and Death Warrant, two fun action films. Hard to Kill I enjoy with Steven Seagal, his early days when he was worth a crap. Don't take you to the bank, Senator. The blood bank. That's the one with the crazy bit of he's in the coma and he's able to escape. You know, he was in a coma, he's in his gurney and able to escape from the bad guys. He has some, fun, badass one-liners. This is for my wife, fuck you and die. Stabs a guy with a pool cue. Some old school Seagal action, breaking arms and gunshots. I really liked Hard to Kill. And then Death Warrant I got put in there because that's a Van Damme film people kind of crap on, but I always enjoyed it. I like the prison setting. I like the fight scenes when they happen. I like the Sandman. Welcome to hell. The score, I think, is really good. It was a Gary Chain, I believe, who did the musical score. I think he did a nice job with it, especially in the finale, during the fight scene. It's one of those Van Damme films that piqued my interest back to the day as a kid. Had the VHS tape, with them screaming, "Come on!" And I love the editing. I know people don't like the editing in these early Van Damme films, but I like that you have a punch, but when he does a punch, it's from three angles. So it's like a rhythm of a song. Pa, 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 ta, 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 ta. I love that stuff. And you also have, what's his name? Robert Galami, from Benson. He was in, I believe, Wanted Dead or Alive with Rutger Hauer. Good character actor. The prison warden. Oh, what's his name? I know it. Sadly, he passed away recently. The dad in the Blob remake in 1988. He's like, you want a condom? Ribbed? That guy who's the dad, he's been in a lot of his stuff. Art LaFleur. Art LaFleur plays the prison guard. The kind of the warden, actually. He did a good job here. And as I like the prison setting. I don't pay, I don't punch. So I had to put that on the list because that's a film that gets kind of... no one really talks about, but I wish Death Warrant had a bit more action and a bit more fights, yes, but like I said, the whole setting and aesthetic of the Sandman, I really did enjoy. Number 13, I put The Ambulance. Not Michael Bay's The Ambulance. This is a film in 1990 starring Eric Roberts. And it's directed by Larry Cohen, may he rest in peace, who did To the Winged Serpent, who did God Told Me To, It's Alive, The Stuff. It's about an ambulance that will take people who seem hurt, but then they disappear, and you find out that they take them to this place for the black market of organ removal and selling organs off and doing tests. Because Eric Roberts meets this woman, Janine Turner, who will later be in Cliffhanger. She collapses. Hey, what hospital you're going to? Can't find her at any hospital. And so looks into what's going on here. Eric Roberts, I thought, did a solid job as the lead. It was interesting that his job was a comic book artist. And even have Stan Lee make a cameo at Marvel. That's where Eric Roberts' character worked at, was Marvel. Larry Cohen has his quirky sense of humor and dialogue. James Earl Jones is an obsessed cop who's always chewing on his gum. I liked, was it Megan Gallagher? I like the female cop that helps Eric Roberts along the way. I think they worked well together. He has some really good stunt sequences because I think it's the same people that worked on some of the stunts in Maniac Cop 2 and later on Fast and Furious. Like some really good stunts. Like Eric Roberts flies out of the gurney back to the ambulance and is flying down the streets and almost hitting cars. There are times that the ambulance is trying to kill Eric Roberts and he has to hang on to a chain link fence and he goes over the edge and hanging up there. I thought a very interesting, quirky thriller, The Ambulance. I really did enjoy that. So I definitely put it on the list. Number 12, Die Hard 2. Growing up, I never knew that the film was as hated as it was. Now, I liked the film, and you guys liked the film. It got 2 thumbs up from Sister Ebert. It was a box office hit. But I just throughout the years, it kind of gets forgotten, or it kind of gets pushed to the side. Kind of like what happened to Live Free or Die Hard. I mean, both films got good critical notices with box office hits, but throughout the years, like, people give Die Hard with a Vengeance some credit, as it should. It's my second favorite Die Hard film after the first one. But Die Hard 2 is a stellar sequel. I mean, even Bruce Willis, his character comments, how could the same thing happen to the same guy twice? Stellar direction by Rennie Harlan, who would go on to direct Cliffhanger, among others. He directed another film that's a bit higher on the list here, because I find that film to be more underrated. But Die Hard 2 has some stellar action scenes, the ejector sequence, the fact he's placed in the airport. You're probably not going to see that again, because I find it very unlikely that they're going to do a lot of action scenes, unless you get a studio that don't give a crap to do an action scene at an airport, especially involving terrorists. I thought William Sadler did a nice job as the villain. I mean, he was the villain in Hard to Kill as well, which seems to go. But here he's definitely a guy they just love to hate. Willingly lets a whole plane of innocent people, including kids, crash and burn. That's a villain that's pretty fucking hateful. And Die Hard 2 is a very stellar sequel. Damn good sequel. And I know Rennie Harlan had issues with Bruce Willis because apparently Bruce Willis wanted to pull an Eddie Murphy from Beetlejuice Chapter 3. He said, "Oh, John McClane shouldn't be making wisecracks. This is serious stuff. He shouldn't be funny." So then Rennie Harlan had to talk to him and Joel Silver and fine, we'll do your take, we'll do my take, and he pretty much used every bit that was comedic. So I don't know if that's why Bruce Willis doesn't like the film, because Rennie Harlan tricked him. Rennie Harlan did the right thing, but even then, Bruce Willis was having issues with his ego, which is a shame. But Die Hard 2 is definitely a stellar sequel. Number 11, Total Recall. I love Total Recall. So you at the party with the effects, Jared Goldsmith's score, Paul Verhoeven's violent direction, like Arnold picks up the guy and all those blood squibs. Just fucking crazy, man. And Total Recall, it's a fucking classic. What more can be said? Much better than the remake. Screw you, Benny, screw you. Just said that at the voice. Like the one-liners, the action, the just badassery. Just always a joy to watch those old classic Arnold films. Predator, The Running Man, Total Recall. Sadly, they don't make films like that anymore. So number 10, The First Power. Underrated film. Love Lou Diamond Phillips. Love the direction. Love the different types of shots, whether it be the killer jumping off a roof and seeing the guy go all the way down multiple floors to land on the bottom, on the ground, to like good car crashes, car chases, going to the tunnel sewer system and sliding down all these different pipes, and the way the camera work follows our characters. The bit of the killer grabbing a ceiling fan and turning it on like a chainsaw and coming towards our characters. Like very unique, cool looking shots that sadly the director didn't get to do a whole lot later on because films like this bombed and he just didn't get to make many more movies, which is a damn shame. I love the villain. When the girl asks, "You can't keep killing forever," and the bad guy goes, "You wanna bet? See you around, buddy boy." I love the guy, and I'm bad with names, I forget his name, but I love the killer in that. Did a really wonderful job. Lou Diamond Phillips, I've always been a fan. LDP for life is what I call it. And I love the mix of the down and dirty cop movie mixed in with the supernatural element. Very interesting meshing of two worlds. There's been films that have done that, and I usually like that. End of Days with Arnold Schwarzenegger, even Delivers from Evil with Eric Bana, and other stuff as well. So the plot is kind of reminiscent of Shocker. Guy gets electrocuted, comes back with supernatural powers. But I say I like the down and dirty city cop aspect. If it wasn't for the ending, it would be higher on the list. Because they did film an ending, concrete, but as Lou Diamond Phillips said in an interview, there's a test screen, people liked it, so the studios or producers said, let's set up for a sequel. So they got us to come back, reshoot it, or shoot additional photography. And which was a mistake because you never know, if you do that kind of stuff, what will happen. Because the film bombed and then there was no sequel. Although he did mention in a recent interview, like one film he would like to do a sequel is The First Power. Now, that's never going to happen. And nowadays, with the way they make films, they probably get screwed up. But it's cool that Lou Diamond Phillips seems like he has a love and care for the film, as he should. Has a great trailer, too. If you look at the trailer, it has a great trailer of The First Power. Also, the score by Stuart Copeland. Very good score that fits the film like a glove. So I love The First Power. Number 9, Arachnophobia. I know they're doing a remake, which is stupid, because it's just going to be a bunch of CGI spiders This would defeat the purpose. Because what made Arachnophobia work, number one, a good cast. Jeff Daniels, John Goodman. Almost said John Candy. Although John Candy could have played that part well. But John Goodman did a good job as the exterminator. Jeff Daniels is the doctor, the family man. It worked. It was funny. It was humorous, but it was also very creepy because I don't like spiders. And it was all done for real, practical, real spiders in showers and all this stuff running on people's faces. The idea that these spiders are so deadly they kill you in one bite, I think worked well. In this thrillomedy, as they called it, which was a stupid word. Horror comedy. Nothing wrong with it. It's a horror comedy. And it worked well. It was creepy with its horror aspects. Like the bit at the end where the spiders are just going everywhere. They're crawling over the TV, out of the TV, out of the walls. It's all done for real. And that's what makes it effective. That's what makes it creepy. Do a special edition of the film. Jeff Daniels talked about it. John Goodman talked about it in one of those... I forget what it was called. You know how they get an actor and they let him go through his career? John Goodman talked about Arachnophobia. He had nice words to say about it. Do a special edition of Arachnophobia. Not a fucking remake. Hey, I bet if I did a poll, which would you rather have? A remake or a special edition with documentaries? I think this would win. Band of the hand, it would win. Very effective. I even like the finale. I love Jeff Daniels getting the flamethrower and one-on-one fight with this. I like the practical effects of this spider that they did. It's supposed to be much bigger. I love the one-on-one fight. I thought that's a really cool fight. Well staged. And Jeff Daniels sold it well in that sequence. Love Arachnophobia. Number 8, The Adventures of Ford Fairlane. Highly underrated. I don't think critics understood that this was supposed to be a parody, a spoof of action films. It just didn't do it in the style of Naked Gun or Airplane. I mean, it's clear when he's a rock and roll detective that's getting weird gifts that they literally make fun of the fact of when you come home and your loved one or your partner has been killed. Instead, it's a pet he got as a gift, which is a fucking koala bear hung by his neck. And they make fun of the idea of everything blowing up before 21 Jump Street did it, years and years later. Because, like, the microwave blows up, and then, oh, they brought back my car, and the car blows up, and the house blows... I think the house blew up. At least they brought back my baby, my car, and then the car blows up and blows him back to the bushes. The villain being Wayne Newton in A Garda Vida, baby. You're like pissed in the punch bowl. And Andrew Dice Clay being... I thought he was a fun, charming, un-PC guy. Very entertaining. And he worked really well as the lead. And I think Renny Harlin, they did a good job directing it. They had the whole cliche of the killer that won't die. That's easily Robert Englund. First off, you cast Robert Englund, which made sense. They worked with each other on Elm Street 4, The Dream Master. Is Renny Harlin directed that. And then, like, puts a TV on his head and all this stuff, and Robert Englund still won't die. Or let's throw our stuff up and have a fight. How many actions have done that, where you throw your weapon down, you have a fight? And he tricks Robert Englund, he puts the gun out. What's that mano to mano? What the fuck does mano to mano mean? You had a gun on me. Use your head. Snap her head. So he tricked the guy into shooting him with the old cliche, let's put our guns down and fight mano a mano. Like, it was clearly a parody of action films. Either people didn't get it, or they just didn't like Andrew Dice Clay and didn't want to get it. But it's clear as day. I think it's much more inventive and creative than people give it credit for. And very funny. I think it's a very funny movie, very underrated film. I'd probably say Renny Harlin's most underrated film. And I love it. It deserves a lot more than it's gotten. If you don't like Andrew Dice Clay, you don't like Andrew Dice Clay. I like Andrew Dice Clay. Especially this era. I don't love every film he's been in. Brain Smasher, A Love Story wasn't that great, but I thought this was a lot of fun. If you wonder why I keep looking at this, is where I put the list written down, so I'm not just bumbling and remembering them. Number 7, Watchers 2. I'm glad that I finally got a Blu-ray from Shout Factory. It's really the best Blu-ray I bought last year, 2022, was Watchers 2 on Blu-ray. There's really not much else, old film-wise, interested me. New films, yeah, Bullet Train, other stuff, but new films, not really. I mean, older films, not really. But yeah, Watchers 2, it's a childhood favorite of mine. Some people may watch it, go, what's the big deal? But it is nostalgic. I love Mark Senior for the Beastmaster. He's the star. It's my favorite role of his. I like the bits between him and this dog. Old school thrills. Like I said, I always liked it. It hits the easy buttons for me for a B movie. Badass hero, likable co-lead in Tracy Scottins, cute animal, in this case a dog. Some fun bits of humor between the humans and the dog. Not too gory, sadly, but there's a little bit of blood here and there. Practical effects. It's not the best looking monster, but it's done practically, which is better than wonky CGI. Action where shotgun fun, shotgunning the creature to his death. Like, it hits the easy buttons that were the kind of films I grew up watching and enjoying as a kid. And movies like that got me into enjoying movies as entertainment. And Watchers 2 is one of them, and always enjoyed it. And I like those type of monster movies. Same with number 6, Stephen King's Graveyard Shift. Love that as a monster movie. One of Stephen King adaptations that the most underrated. I think the atmosphere of the Bachman Mill is very dirty and sweaty and grungy, and you really feel the heat, and it seems like a hell of a place to work at. What it gets in the catacombs, I think there's really good atmosphere, especially by the store. The store is very, not ethereal, but very spooky, with this creepy choir-like music accompanied with it. Great score. I like the cast. Brad Dourif, I wish was in it more. I wish he had more to do. And I think if he did, this probably would jump a few notches. But when he's there, he really makes it work, especially his one scene where he's giving his all of emotion into telling this flashback, the Vietnam story. I love the look of the monster. When you do see it, it looks really cool. It's some really good practical effects in it. I like the lead guy. I like Stephen Mott as the villain. He's a guy you just love to hate. Bravo, this young Star Search, and go back to doing what you were doing. Like, he's just a guy just with this weird accent, and you just love to hate him. He's just the evil scum of a human villain. And like I said, I love the creature work. Very short film, doesn't overstay its welcome. Like I said, my kind of monster movie. Monster movie I grew up with. Very underrated. Number 5, Jacob's Ladder from 1990. Love that film ever since I was a kid. I won't give away the twist, but it's a very emotional story with some very creepy images by Adrian Lyne. Never know if I pronounce it Lynn or Line. It definitely was very influential onto Silent Hill. In fact, some of the makers have mentioned that Jacob's Ladder was an inspiration for it. I mean, even Silent Hill 3, they directly reference Jacob's Ladder with the subway and the signs there. Tim Robbins should have gotten an award for this. He should have gotten some kind of award for Jacob's Ladder. He should have. He was that damn good. The score is fantastic and emotional, and I can't highly praise Jacob's Ladder enough. Like, that's why 1990 is one of my favorite years, because I looked at the top 5. The top 5 is literally in, like, my top 20 films of all time. And 5 of them are in 1990. That's why I said 1990 is a big year for me. Like, Jacob's Ladder, I love to death. Number 4, Tremors. Love that film to death. Creature work by Tom Woodruff Jr. and Alec Gillis. The great chemistry between Kevin Bacon and Fred Ward. The very fun, strong script. It's a sound script. The way they're cut off, the way the plot develops. the way the creatures are introduced. All the cast members fill their roles fairly well. Michael Gross, Reba McEntire, the store. Like, I could watch Tremors over and over again and not get bored. And I'm looking at the Arrow Video Blu-ray of it. And like I said, I could watch that again and again and again and never get bored with it. My series, I could never get bored with it. So much of a fun movie. So much of a fun flick. Yeah, love Tremors. Grew up with it. I mean, I grew up with it on VHS. When it came out in theaters in January 1990, it bombed. But then it had a bit of a development on video of success. That's why I got some. And Tremors 2 Aftershots is a damn good one as well. Number 3, the 1990 Ninja Turtles film. I mean, my username, I've talked about it so many times. I love the first two 90s Ninja Turtle movies. They're dear to my heart. They're some of the films that I grew up with the most as a kid, watched over and over again on VHS tape. You know, this was a cartoon I liked, and these characters were brought to life, and I enjoyed the movies even more, aside from the third one, because I think the third one sucks. But the first two I love. I love the look, the Jim Henson designs, and the effects work. For the most part, the voices, other than Corey Feldman, I think Corey Feldman sucks as Donatello. I think the voice in the second film was much better. Because, I'm sorry, Donatello does not sound like Surfer Dude number 2, Mighty 2.0. Doesn't sound like a surfer bro. That's Mighty's job. Okay? Corey Feldman was the wrong fit. The Adam Carl, I believe, in the second film was much better. But other than that, Robbie Rist, Brian Tochi, Josh Payes did a wonderful job as the other Turtles. At least the suit work. Elias Koteas, Casey Jones was perfect casting. I like that it was a bit darker for a kid's film. There's some serious moments for a kid's film. Of course, for me, I wish they could have pushed it more, but it wasn't meant to be. The fight scenes were well choreographed for that time. And I even like the song at the end by Partners in Crime. It's a movie of its time, but at the same time, it's a very fun, stellar family film. Then once in a while, a joke here and there is a bit 90s cringe. But other than that, enjoyable movie. Number 2, I Come in Peace with Dolph Lundgren. It's my favorite Dolph Lundgren film. One of my favorite films ever. I love I Come in Peace. Dolph Lundgren and Brian Benben as two people looking into these killings. Alien drug dealer from outer space, shooting CDs that bounce off people's necks. I come in peace, and you go in pieces, asshole. Blows up the alien. I mean, come on. You got Dolph Lundgren kicking ass, taking names. Krator Batchley, the guy who directed Action Jackson with Carl Weathers. Stone Cold with Brian Bosworth. This guy knew how to use a small budget and get a lot out of it, because you get fist fights, you get shootouts, you get car chases, you get explosions, all done in camera for real. And it goes. I love the score by Jan Hammer, who worked on Miami Vice. Some people have done their interpretations of a score, but I wish the score had gotten a CD release fully. I really do. That would have been great to see. Like, someone do that somehow. Contact Jan Hammer and say, let's do a score CD of I Come in Peace, for fuck's sake. Come on now, let's do it. I would buy it. Easily. One of my favorite buddy cop films. Love the mixture of sci-fi and action. And again, a drug dealer from outer space that gets a needle and punches through people's heads to get the endorphins, because that's the high for his supply. Dolph Lundgren has some good lines. Brian Benben, I think, is a good foil for Dolph. Comedic foil. But I like Brian Benben's development. I like him more and more as the movie goes along and gets developed. And becomes more like Dolph. And I liked his development. I thought they did a good job with it. And they became a good team. Love I Come in Peace. I think it's an action classic. And number 1, of course, Predator 2. It had to be Predator 2. As I said before, and I'll say it again, one of the most underrated sequel of all time. It's that, Rambo 3, Ninja Turtles 2 Secretly Ooze. Like, those are up there. But Predator 2, I put it this way. Predator is my favorite Arnold film. It's a great Arnold movie. And then Predator 2, I think, is a great Predator movie. I think Danny Glover did an excellent job. The cast: Bill Paxton, Gary Busey, Robert Davi, Maria Conchita Alonso, Ruben Blades. Wonderful job on the score by Alan Silvestri, who did the first film. I love the city location. I love how fast-paced it is. Predator 1 works well as a slow pace. It's a building up. We don't know what the creature is, but now that we know, we now know it. Predator 2, it goes like a roller coaster. Boom, just keeps going to the end of the film. And there was a review I saw, relentlessly paced and highly entertaining. I agree. It was a Kevin Thomas or someone else said that. I don't know who. But yeah, it's a relentless pace. From the get-go with the Jamaican drug lords and all the... Well, not... There's other drug lords in it, not just Jamaican. That'd be marked for death. But they do get involved later on. There's the drug lords, the drug war, Danny Glover being a badass. Hey, asshole, with the shotgun, blowing people away. The Predator, new tools, new toys, net guns, all this other stuff. The flying disc that goes back like a boomerang. Cool toys. It's violent. It's exciting. The city, the concrete jungle. Nothing wrong with that decision. I'm sorry, Arnold. It wasn't a bad decision. You know, it was a bad decision. The Predator is a bad decision. Terminator 3 with you doing Talk to the Hand, Arnold, that's a bad decision. So I'm sorry, Arnold. You have no room to talk about bad sequels when you did Terminator 3 and Genesis and Dark Fate. Just let me tell you something. Predator 2 is better than all of those I just mentioned. It's better than T3. It's better than Sega Genesis. It's better than Dark Fate. So, Arnold, you have no room. Oh, Predator 2. No. The sequels you've done suck. T2's good. Rest, not so much. Hell, the better one after that's the one you're not in is Terminator Salvation. Well, a version of you is in it, but not really you. But, you know, Predator 2, I've talked about that so many times. People already know. If not, I've done multiple videos on Predator 2 as to why I love the film so much. I've done commentaries on it. Predator 2 is definitely number one for me. So, with that said, thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you guys later.